welcome back. Right now we're going to look at some of the basic macros that you can use with your character. So not as a DM but as a character. I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to do that if I join as player. Just so we know what we're looking at here is done as a player, not as a DM. Right, so one of the first ones you'll always want to do, we'll come in here and we'll say whisper. Talk to myself. And so what this one does is it toggles on and off whisper chat. Let's go back in here and bring this one up. Because I'm a player, I'm just going to hide these. This isn't what we're dealing with today. And so I generally also set this as a nice dark purple. It sits at the beginning. And so here in the chat, maybe I want to test something with Bishop. To bring the character sheet up off the token, you hold shift while you click it. And say I want to just test that weapon. But I'm like, oh, I don't really want everyone to see that. Right? That's just the thing I want to see. So I tick whisper, and now I'm talking to myself. And so now when I test out my things, it's just me. Nice, right? So now let's remove that. We want to go back to talking. And so what I want to go over is how to make macros. And so there's two types of macros. This one here we added up here, and so we can put it at the bar, and that's just sort of generic all-round macros. And then there are ones that are only there when I see my token. I click on it and so they show up there, and that's done off your character sheet here. We click here and we can add them there. And so what we can do is, let's add one here. There's a lot of resources for macros. You look here at wiki.roll20.net, and there's a whole bunch about macros. Here's more. What are we on here? 5e macros, the complete guide to macros, and you can do lots of searches, but what we want here is some low level stuff. Well, I don't want to have to learn how to do that, right? But I do want to be able to bring these things up that I'm doing. So one of the most common ones is initiative. So let's roll the initiative. Come out here. What do we got? We got a 9. And here's a secret. So I click here into the chat and I press the up arrow, and it goes to the last thing I did. And so I can go Control A. And then Control C, and I've copied that. Then over here I'm going to paste that in and call it init for initiative. Right, and I show that as a token. And you know what I might do? I might just put exclamation mark at the front, and so what that's going to do is just push that to the left. Right, let's just, so that was a double click to push that back like that. Click off, click back on. There it is. There's my new button. And that's going to do initiative. Easy, right? And so I could do that with any of the things on my sheet here. If I wanted, for example, I'm forever throwing Sacred Flame. I'm a cleric. Classic Sacred Flame. So get in here, press the up arrow. Here's my Sacred Flame. And I'll copy that, and we'll go up here and we'll click a macro, call it S-Flame. I'll throw it down there. And we can stretch that out and see everything that it's just copied. It's quite a lot, quite inclusive. But it's talking specifically about Bishop and how to do that spell. I save that. Put Sacred Flame down here, and now whenever I want, I can throw that out, and I don't need to have Bishop selected. Right, boom. Ooh, that's not very good. DC 0. Let's just quickly fix that on bishop. So that's coming down from this. And he's got a wisdom. So there we go, that's better. He is a cleric. There we go. So dexterity 15. And so that is the easiest way to start making macros. Just find the thing on your character sheet that you want to do. And I'm holding shift now as I double click on my character to bring that up. And I can do that with anything. Dispel magic. There it is. I wanted that. Just press up arrow. And now I've got the code for that. Let's bring up the normal notepad. And so you can break that down now and see what actually makes that spell, if you wanted to sort of fill this in with your own information. You'll note, however, that particular one, so the first thing it's asking what level, so this is maybe a slightly complicated one to choose. But if we go back to our notepad, that's what that's doing up there. So it's got template spell. Let's instead look over here. I don't want to save that. Let's instead look over here and look at the most common style, the default template. So I'm going to put that in. Oh, not there. Take that away. Right. Which doesn't have a lot of style to it. I don't particularly like that. If we put that there though, it is really simple. The default one. So we've got set that up. Ampersand, side squiggly brackets, template, colon, default. And then so inside each two squiggle brackets we've got the title on the left and the thing we want on the right. And so here we've just got 3d6. But what we could do is we could butcher that or steal from that the one over here, which is traits. So say I've used the traits and put that in there. And so now I'm sort of stealing the style from the character sheet. That's how I sort of hack and slash, cut and paste and chop around scripts to build them to do what you want to do. But really, the key will just be finding something in here that you like, the dagger, and then just copying that, like so. Up arrow, Control A, Control to select all, Control C to copy it, and then you can paste that and have it. So let's look at another great feature that often gets sort of ignored. Let's get rid of that. And that's adding a GIF. So let's say I want Sacred Flame GIF. And you can do this with a JPEG. It doesn't have to be a JPEG. A GIF. It doesn't have to be a GIF, but so I like the look of that one. That's a sample for a Sacred Flame. Yeah, open. Okay, so let's say this is the one that we like. Open image in new tab. Image address, let's see. In fact, we can see the image address right there, right? That looks great. So if I now come into my Sacred Flame, expand that out, let's get rid of this. And so I'm doing a square bracket, and I can have anything inside that square bracket. Could just be a single letter as long as it is something. It doesn't really matter what. Then inside normal brackets I put the address of the GIF or the JPEG or whatever the file is, and we're now good. If we throw that down, bam, Sacred Flame. And you can just search for comical, interesting, serious, however it is you want to do it. If I was not looking for a GIF, but a JPG, that should also do the same. And I'm like, ah, yeah, like, this is my guy. This is my dude, Sacred Flame. And so, open the image in a new tab. We're just doing that so that we can see it at that level. Do I still see the picture? Because that's the address I want. I can't have it finishing with that other stuff. So if I now, let's say, look at my Sacred Flame, and does it have description? It's bound to have description in there. I see the show spell description. Descript, there it is. And so remember, square brackets with something in it, and then round brackets. No break. That looks like a line break, but it's not. What we've actually got going on there is, because it's all fixed, line, yeah, it just sort of automatically. Yeah, easy. And so now the Sacred Flame inside the character sheet is dropping the GIF, and the Sacred Flame down here is dropping an image. Easy way to class up your character sheet and press the other players. A little bit of animated action. Alright, that is the very basics of doing macros. I guess while we're here, I might just show you these ones. And I put these here. Remember, this sort of stuff, it's got a selected character, right? At selected character, where when we look at that Sacred Flame, for example, it's not going to say selected character, it's going to say Bishop. There, at Bishop spell save DC. And so we could change that to say Bishop, and then that would sort of work over here. I'd be able to pull that off at any time. But because this one is only ever brought up when you have selected the token, I can get away with going selected till character name. And I say get away with because now I can just save these and put them on every single character, copy paste. I don't have to change the name to reflect the person, right? So source is the selected character. And if sometimes you end up getting, like if I click off of this and run that, I was attempted to roll it, but there was no selected token. So I need to have him selected. So if you see that error message, that's what that's about. Right, and so these just allow you, these on the character sheet, these aren't clickable. These aren't things that you can drop into chat. But you might want to be justifying what you do. You're like, oh yeah, I mean, I would gladly stay there with you guys, but you know, I have to admit that I'm a bit of a coward, and so when it gets tough, he's going to move around, and so you, rather than going full front into the attack, you sort of pull back and start doing range stuff. We, in the games I play, we use this as ways of getting your own inspiration. So you come across the reason that you get to justify this, you click that button, and without the DM's intervention, you get to then tick and give yourself inspiration. We would then generally also set up a little one of these to be down the bottom here that says I'm using my inspiration, right? So we could quickly do that. Let's say it's this one. Go inspiration. Right, so let's do what we do. All right. So let's grab it from here. I'm just going to make it just like that. Right? So name, inspiration, and so these have fixed things, right? It has a source, it has a description. It's not going to have everything. When the template is spell, it has all these things that you can put to it. And if it's an attack, it has the attack things you can put to it. So this is just like an information block. Maybe one of the best ways to get them is actually to do one of these. So I'm a magic initiate, and so if we instead look at that, copy that one out, let me make this big for you. That's got a name, that's got a source and a description. So you're getting the title at the top, you're also getting that, and you're getting the description. So maybe that's the better one to go for, but I'm just going to use the trait one. It's pretty much the same, and I don't need anything more. I see a spelling mistake there. Inspiration. Okay, and so it's saying everything I want. So instead, what I'm going to look for here is a happy, not birthday, but happy night. Yeah, look for an image, and I'll say, yeah, he looks inspired, right? So let's open the image in a new tab. It's just so that we can see that it works without the bits on the end. So it's going to finish like that. And we come back over here. We're using square brackets, and then we're using round brackets. Test that macro. Yeah, perfect. Save. And so now I can put inspiration, give that a pretty color so it stands out, like, oh, I'm feeling bold. Maybe something bigger than that. Yeah, inspiration. Right? And so then I've basically declared, let's say, he's running around and he's like, I hate to admit it, and I sort of run away when it gets tough, and so he pulls back rather than going in to help his friends, right? So I claim my inspiration and get it here. And the way we play it, you can only use each of these once in a session. So I can only use the trait, the ideal, and the bond, and the floor one time each, and you can't hold more than one at a time. But now I want to say that I'm using that inspiration, and I'm going to let fly with a guiding bolt, and that's because I don't want to miss, right? I always like to fly guiding bolts when I've got advantage. Oh, that's miserable, and I probably missed anyway. But I gave myself the best chance by taking on 2 dice at once. Right, while we're here, let's have a quick look. I like to set them up with all of those modifiers, including that one. I don't know why that's not on. I always roll the advantage, I never whisper the roll, and I auto roll the damage, right? And add that. And that just means we're getting both numbers down, we're automatically getting the damage. There's no reason to slow down and click another number. And if I don't have advantage, then it's just the first number. If I do have advantage or disadvantage, we have both numbers already available to decide. So there is some basic macro use for your character sheet. Have fun.